Okay, class, back to the beginning. We are going to do some review of Algebra 1. These are going to be some simpler concepts. You're going to solve some equations, and there are going to be some tricks to some of these that you're going to have to review. Not in the first one, but you'll find concepts such as distributive property or least common multiple, and some things that you just thought looked like math tricks before you learned them. Okay, I've got n and 8n both on the left side of the equation. Equations have equal signs. You could draw a line down vertically through the equal sign. That's a trick some teachers might have taught you, so that you can divide things visually into the left side of the equation and the right side of the equation. Okay, so like terms, they have to have the same variable, and those variables have to have the same power. Now, I typically don't write this, but here's a nice almost invisible 1. I like to use the color yellow for things that are kind of invisible, things that are true, but we just don't write them. N to the first power is n. 8n to the first power is 8n. So, they're like terms because they have the same variable, n. That variable has the same power, 1. Now I can add the coefficients of those variables, 8 and here's another thing that would be yellow, 1n. So 8n plus 1n, combine them, 8n. Bring down the minus 2, bring down the 7, there would be an equal sign right there. Now we are going to use inverse operations to get the 2 to the other side. The inverse operation of subtracting 2 is adding 2. So we have 9n is equal to 9. Divide by 9 and we will get n is equal to 1. Now you could check that, plug it back in. 8 times 1, 8, plus 1, 9. 9 minus 2, 7. Number 2. Now, in number 2 we have fractions. I like fractions. Maybe you don't like fractions. But even I want to get rid of fractions when I can. So I look at the denominators, the 4's and the 2's. These 4's and 2's, they're the denominators of the fractions. The 9, the 3, the 1, the 3, those are the numerators. So we want to concentrate on the 4 and the 2 and think, what is the least common multiple? LCM, least common multiple. The least common multiple is, take the 2 and the 4, this 2 and that 4, and you can write out a table or a row of values of multiples. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, messy 4, 2 times 3 is 6, then 8, then 10, etc. Well, you could have stopped a while ago. This 4 and this 4. That's the least common multiple. I don't really need to keep going with the 4's. 4 times 1, 4 times 2. I could use 8. 8 would do the trick, but the 4 is going to be the quicker way to get there. So 4 is the least common multiple. That's going to be in my way. So I am going to multiply everything by 4. I'm going to do that to both sides. Now, some teachers will not do this. I don't mind. This 4 goes here and here and here. And from this side, it would go here and here. It multiplies all terms, all 3 terms on the left, both terms on the right. So a reason some teachers won't do that is because it doesn't really show the distributive property. The distributive property doesn't go across an equal sign. So what those teachers will do is they'll do this. Oh, there's a minus sign. Well, let's include that minus sign. Didn't notice it there. And then you'll multiply both sides by 4. Balance the equation. Do the same thing to both sides. Then I distribute. This is going to be a negative 8a. Here, we're going to do 4 times 9. I'm not even going to care what 4 times 9 is because I'm going to do it like this. 4 times 9 divided by 4. 4 times 9 divided by 4. Let's do 4 divided by 4 first. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Take that 1, multiply it by 9. I get a 9. Now this minus sign, it gets carried down. So this reads 8a minus 9. One more term on this side to distribute to. This is the distributive property. a number on the outside multiplying numbers on the inside, some numbers. Some number of numbers. So 4 times 3 divided by 2. But again, I'm going to do the division first. 4 divided by 2 is 2, times 3 is 6. And then on the other side, there's a negative. It's right there. Remember, I forgot it at first. It's a little too far over. So bring down the negative. A quarter of 4 is 1. And last time, 4 divided by 2 is 2 times 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2 times 3 is 6. 6. Now it looks like the last problem. We're going to find like terms. Let me switch colors here. Like terms right here and right here. Whenever you are thinking about like terms, you want to include the sign in front of it. So I have a negative 9 plus 6. So that will be a negative 3. Negative 9 plus 6 is like 6 minus 9. I'm going to bring down the other stuff. Negative 8a minus 3 equals negative 1 minus 6a. I don't have any more like terms, so I'm going to start using inverse operations. Unlike the last problem, where I only ever had a variable on one side, I have variables on both. What I like to do is take care of the variables first, and I like to make sure they'll be positive when I'm done. So I'm going to take this negative 8a, and I am going to add 8a to both sides. Negative 8a plus a is 0, so this becomes a negative 3 on the left. On the right, the like terms are the a's. 8a minus 6a is 2a. 2 is a positive 2, so it becomes plus. Then you're going to add 1 to get it to the other side. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Bring down the rest. Divide both sides by this 2, and that's 1 times a is a. I get a equals negative 1, because negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And I will be done with that one. Definitely shows a distributive property here. Do the actual multiplication in a second, and here, and that's where the distribution ends. We won't distribute this negative 4 to this negative 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Bring down this minus sign. 4 times 4n is 16n. Another way to think about that, instead of saying bring down the minus sign, is 4 times negative 4n is negative 16n, and negative is like subtraction. Negative 4 times 3n is negative 12n. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, and a negative is like subtraction. Plus is positive, minus is negative. Then bring this down. The negative 8 and the negative 4 that I just finished writing, those are my like terms. Again, think of the sign in front of it. It has to go along with it. Negative 8 and negative 4. I'm going to combine those. They have the same sign. They're both negative. So what I'm going to think is, let's go magic pen. Ever see the magic pen? It erases after a while. So I think positive 8 and positive 4. Positive 8 and positive 4 is 12. There it goes. Magic pen disappearing. So it really was negative. Negative 8 and negative 4 is negative 12. Pen types, regular pen. So negative 12n, just bringing it down. The negative 12 that I just combined, line up the equal sign. Unlike number 1 where I put that vertical line through it, I rarely do that. I just usually try to keep my equal sign lined up. But if you feel like you have a hard time with it, keep drawing that vertical line. Now I'm going to deal with the ends. I've got some on both sides. I want to make my ends positive, so I will add 16n here. here. That's 0. 16n minus 16n is 0, so just a 4 left on the left. Only a 4 remaining on the left. 16n minus 12n is 4n minus 12. Add 12 to both sides. So I get 16 equals 4n. Divide by 4, both sides, and you're going to get n equals 4. Okay, there's one more skill or trick that I want to review, and that happens here in number 4. It's a little bit like number 3, or number 2, I guess. It was a little bit like number 2 where you had these fractions, and you thought to yourself, man, I don't like fractions, I want to get rid of them. Well, not everybody likes decimals, and we don't want to add or multiply or divide by decimals, so we want to get rid of them. Well, that's usually easier than getting rid of fractions. If I multiply everything by 10, it will move the decimal 1 spot. So in this case, since I only need to move the decimal 1 spot for any of these, multiplying by 10 is exactly what I want to do. So multiply everything by 10, and it just gets rid of the decimals. This becomes a 12, this becomes a 24, and this becomes a 6x. Then we are going to subtract 24 from both sides. And I get negative 12, because negative 24 plus 12 is negative 12, or 12 minus 24 is negative 12. And this is a negative 6. Just because this went away doesn't mean that this did. So bring down the negative 6. I'll divide everything by negative 6. And we get x equals positive 2. Okay. You got to see a little bit of everything, so I want you to pause the video and do the next 2 problems. Okay? Pause it. Okay, let's see if you got them right. First answer I have, n equals a negative 11 halves. Now, you don't have to write that as an improper fraction, but I do want you to know that improper fractions are perfectly fine. An improper fraction has a numerator that is larger than the denominator. Ignore the negative for now. 11 larger than 2. If you want a mixed number, that's fine. You could have negative 5 and a half. You could have a decimal, negative 5.5. Any of those are okay. So, if you made a mistake, possible places it could have been, did you stop distributing the 2 after the 3? If not, you would have gotten a 10 here, and that would be incorrect. You stop right here. Let's see, on this side, did you distribute the negative along with the 4? So it became a negative 8n, and more likely the mistake, negative 4 times a positive 1 is negative 4. In this step right here, we just combine like terms. 2 and 5 is 7. And then we just use inverse operations. In number 6, let's see, we multiplied everything by 6 because the least common multiple was 6. 3 and 2 are your choices. Multiply by 6 and we will clear all fractions. 6 times 1 is 6. 2/3 times k is negative 4k, etc. Then from here to there we combine like terms twice. Negative 9 minus 8 is negative 17, and 6 minus 27 is negative 21. Here, between these, I used 2 steps. Well, I did 2 steps, and I didn't show everything, but I'll tell you what I did. I added 9k to both sides, so this came over here and became a 5k, because it became negative 4k plus 9k. And at the same time, I added 21 to both sides, so I got 4. Then divide both sides by 5. Negative 4/5 is a perfectly good answer. Okay. Now, go ahead and do the last 4 on this page. I'll not be showing you in this video how I did them, but I will have some solutions available for you to check.